Hey, this is Andrew Brown, and I want to see if we can figure out how to do tree of thought prompting. It's not super easy to do, so I'm hoping that we can leverage something like Prompt Hub, where they say they already have an existing template that we can work with. I'm finding all the examples online are showing one with the game of 24, and then the other one is creative writing. So maybe if we can get one of these templates from wherever, we can get started here. But I do believe that they have a button here, Tree of Thought Prompting, and so now we can go take a look at Prompt Hub, which is a place where you can manage prompts, which is not a total bad idea. I'm going to go ahead and sign up here and make a new account, and we'll take a look and see if we can see that prompt in here. So I've just verified my email. I'm going to continue on here, and I'm just going to skip here. Set up your team's key. So we could put an OpenAI key in here, and luckily I do have OpenAI, so maybe that's not a bad idea to go give that a try. Of course, you'll need an OpenAI account to do this. We do this many times throughout this course, so if you're not familiar with this, you'll have to just watch for now, and you can always come back to this video later on. I already have a basic project set up here. You can create new projects. I'm going to go to Manage Projects. I'm going to make my way over to API keys. I clearly already have an API key. I'm going to go ahead and revoke this key. I'm going to go ahead and make a new key, and it's going to be called Prompt Hub. We're just trying to get into Prompt Hub so that we already have an existing template, because they're promising that there's some template here, right? We'll go ahead and dump that key in there. We'll hit save and continue. I don't have anyone else to invite. Let's go and make our way into Prompt Hub. So we are now in Prompt Hub. I want to see some of these templates. Let's go over to here and see what else we have. So what I'm looking for in here is Chain of Destiny. That's funny. I'm looking for Tree of Thought. So that's what we want to find here. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Tree of Thought. Maybe we can get it if we go back over to here and click this again. Okay, and then it'll bring us exactly to the template that we want. And so here's an example of the Tree of Thoughts. One, we'll read through it and try to figure out what we have here. So a prompting method that instructs the LM to traverse many different paths when completing a task. Movie Recommender is used for example task. Update the variable and steps for your use case. So you're a super intelligent movie recommender AI. Here's your task. Your goal is to leverage this information and use Tree of Thoughts method to come to an optimal conclusion. So understanding friends' preferences. Review the hard-coded movie preferences provided for each friend. Oh, okay. Create a list of unique movie characteristics, including favorite genres, preferred actors, and any specific movie elements they enjoy. Using the gathered preferences, generate a list of potential movie options that will align. Evaluate the potential movie options based on each friend's preference. You can assign a value of 1 to 10 to each movie, representing how well it matches its interest. Now that you have a list of movies with the corresponding scores, review the evaluations to select the movies that received the highest overall score, considering the combined preferences of all friends. Finally, reveal the perfect movie choice, output the selected movie. That's a lot of stuff going on there. How can that do it in all one go? I cannot imagine it would do that. So use the Tree of Thought method to navigate through steps and generate the best movie recommendation for friends. So this sounds cool. How can we go ahead and utilize it? So we can hit add to library. And so now we have it here. And since this is hooked up to GenAI, I'm assuming that we can input the stuff. Here is the task. Okay. So I'm here. Do we have a preset here? This is on Turbo. I like how it shows the price here. That's actually really smart. But I'm utilizing GPT-4 usually. I think it's also more cost effective. And by the way, if you don't have paid, you can just watch me do this and we'll find out here. But I think the version went down here, but I like how they have that. Okay. So I guess my question is, how am I inserting this? Here is your task. Okay. So I'm not 100% certain on how to utilize this. Let's go look at another one here. Article content code. So let's go take a look here and say prompt it hub variables. Like they don't really explain. Prompt hub. They're not really explaining how to set those there. Just give me a second here. Let's find out. All right, so they're suggesting there's a thing
down
called in
to, let's go to
variables.
this one.
So let's go take a look and see if that's true. So we'll go over to here, back to Prompt Hub. All right, well, we can just hit run test and find out what happens. Run test. I think it's doing it how many times? I'm not sure. Uh-oh. How many times is it running? Once, twice, 3 times? So I guess it's running. Great. So now where's the run? Can I see it? Well, this is GPT-4o. That kind of looks like this is the output of the last test run 1 second ago. Introduction prompt engineering. Oh, okay, cool. So right away, it's already giving us recommendations. So I guess it actually did all this stuff. So it basically did all of it. Oh, variables. Here we go. Ah, there we go. Generate 10 article ideas for blog posts about prompt engineering. But this is not exactly what we want to happen because we need to read this prompt a little bit more carefully one more time. Your goal is to leverage information for tree of thoughts methods to come to an optimal conclusion. Review the hard-coded movie preferences provided for each friend. Create a list of unique movie characteristics, including favorite genres. Review the hard-coded movie preference provided of each friend. So what we need for this to work is we need 3 friends. So I need I need 3 friends, and I need to know 5 movies they like. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Give me 3 friend names and 5 movie titles they like. Okay, so the idea is I'm just doing this to feed it some kind of data. Okay, and so we can see we have these 3 folks here. We'll go ahead and copy this text. I'm gonna make my way back over to here, and we'll paste this in here. And so now we have that information. It's not pasted the nicest way, but this should be sufficient for this to work. I'm gonna click this again to make sure that is set. That is set. Let's go ahead and run this again. Okay, and so now it should do what it's supposed to be doing here. We'll give it a moment here. All right, so we have a result back here. So step 1, understand friend's preference. I'm going to copy this text over here so we can go somewhere else and just have an easier time reading it. Just give me 1 moment. All right, so I've just brought this into VS Code, and I'm just previewing it because it did look like it produced Markdown. So step 1, understand friend's preference. Rachel seems to enjoy fantasy and adventure films with a mix of animation and live action. Her movie list also includes a mystery film, suggesting she enjoys a good plot twist. His movie preference is towards drama and thrillers and complex narratives. His list includes films with strong performances and thought-provoking themes. Priya seems to appreciate a variety of genres, including stuff. So we go to step 2. Consider the preferences of all 3. Some potential movies that could suit their tasks include The Dark Knight, Lord of the Rings, The Prestige, etc. Evaluating the movie options. So here it looks like they are going through here. So we are getting scored values for them. Select the best movies. So Lord of the Rings is the highest overall score, closely followed with The Dark Knight and Toy Story. The perfect movie choice for movie night would be The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings. This epic fantasy adventure is renowned for, etc. So that's really cool that it goes through that. And what I was surprised in the prompt was the fact that they just said use tree of thought. So clearly the model must have knowledge of how tree of thought works. I figure like if you're using a dumber model and it doesn't know that, you might have to explain in more description of what tree of thought is. Probably what we could do is like we go over to here and something didn't know tree of thought. So I am using a smaller model that doesn't know what tree of thought is. What can we do to prompt it so it understands how to perform tree of thought. Outline the steps of tree of thought. Okay. So explain what it is. Outline the steps. Combine explanations, instructions. So I guess the question is like, is tree of thought one shot, like one prompt? Because I was expecting for tree of thought to be multiple prompts, like chain of thought, or not chain of thought, but prompt chaining, right? Is a reasoning framework with a single prompt. Okay, there you go. So I guess that kind of makes sense about how that could be utilized. There we go. So let's go take a look here at a demonstrative example. Let's take a look here. So we will use a step-by-step reasoning called tree of thought. In this approach, we'll break down the question or problem by exploring multiple branches of ideas. So outline the steps of tree of thought. So restate the problem, generate possible paths, evaluate and prune branches, expand on best branch, provide the final answer. Okay. So example prompt. You're an AI system, so we're going to solve problems using a step-by-step reasoning process called tree of thought. Restate the problem, clearly restate the question in your own words, generate possible paths. Okay, so it's just saying the same thing. So we'll go down below here. So example, question. What is 15 times 14? Restate the problem. I want to multiply 15 times 14. Possible paths. Branch A, branch B, branch C. Evaluate the branches. Quick approach if we recall it. More tedious but guaranteed. And then this is the best branch and expand on that branch. Okay, so that's really cool. That's starting to make sense to me. So yeah, I guess that's tree of thought. There are so many techniques to prompt engineering. Like, I'm not sure if I showed this in a previous video, but if we go over to prompt engineering website, is it this one? There's so many prompt engineering websites now. Some are good, some are bad. Prompt engineering guide. Here it is. Like this one I like quite a bit. And so, there's just so many techniques and ways of doing prompt engineering. A lot of times when you are using LLMs, you end up inherently using a prompt technique without realizing that you're doing it. So I think I mentioned this before, but like when we were doing the Japanese subtitle thing, I was using some form of state and transition management, which looks very similar to tree of thought. And like prompt flowing, I ended up using that intentionally as well. So, or prompt flowing, prompt chaining. So I just would say, don't worry so much about memorizing all these prompt engineering techniques. But you'll just find that you will indirectly use them, but it does help to generally know some of them and come back and review to see, you go, oh yeah, okay, I am using prompt engineering. I just didn't realize I'm doing that. There's also a big argument about the difference between prompt engineering and prompt designing. So some folks would call using this just called prompt designing, and prompt engineering requires a lot more technical coding behaviors to orchestrate something a lot larger than simply writing a prompt. I'm not going to fuss about prompt design versus prompt engineering. I'm just considering it all prompt engineering. But yeah, there you go.